Okay, so this is going to be a walkthrough of exercise 4 in the Pro Tools 101 book. And hopefully you've already tried this on your own and you have everything solid, or maybe you got stuck at one point, and that's the time to watch this video. So hopefully you've already given it a really good try, you've got everything set up perfectly, but you still want to watch the solution to see how I do it. Either way, make sure you try this first before watching this solution. So here I go. I'm going to open up Pro Tools, which I have here, and our first step is simply powering up the computer, connecting any hardware. One thing about starting up Pro Tools, do not have your monitor speakers on. You want your interface plugged in, but you want your speakers, the output to the speakers, to be off. So your active speakers should be off, your amp to your speakers should be off. That way, you avoid getting a nasty pop when Pro Tools takes hold of basically like the audio driver or whatever happens, you'll get a nasty sounding pop. So you want the last thing you do when you power up Pro Tools to be turning on the actual monitors. Okay, so I'm going to open up Pro Tools and the dashboard will appear. If the dashboard somehow gets closed on accident, you can always go to File and then Create New, and then you should get a new dashboard. And we are going to make sure that Create from Template is not checked. It should be unchecked, and we are going to create a local storage session. And then we are going to have a very specific naming convention for our sessions and our exercises. So for the name for this one, it's going to be PT101, so Pro Tools 101 class, and then my initials are SLW. Those should be your initials there. So, and I actually like to add also exercise and the number of the exercise. That way we have a lot of information, everything's really nicely organized. So which book we're in, or which set of lessons and exercises, your initials, and then which exercise is really nice to have. Now we're going to pick a couple other things. We're not going to just hit create. We're going to actually decide on some session parameters before we get going. So first one, and really this is mostly just about selecting these parameters, right? And maybe creating a couple of tracks. At the bottom of our dashboard, we want to pick a file type. We are always going to pick WAV. It's going to be totally consistent. Our bit depth is going to be 24-bit. Our sample rate is going to be 44.1. And our I/O settings, we're going to choose stereo mix, which will give us the defaults. We're also going to make sure that interleaved is checked. Remember, that is what lets us, what keeps Pro Tools keeping stereo files together as a single file in your audio files, in case you need to go deal with those at some point. And then we're going to select prompt for location to choose where we're going to put our session folder. I'm going to click create. And then I'm going to choose where I'm going to put it. I'm just sticking it on my desktop for now. And then I'm going to click save. That is going to open up our session. Now often these windows will not be the right size or in the right place. So we are always, always, always going to hold down Option on the Mac and hit the plus in the mix window and do the same thing in the edit window. Remember to switch back and forth between our mix and edit window. We do Command equals, or we can go to Window and then switch to whichever one's not checked, right? So mix, edit. Cool, what's next? Creating and naming tracks. Good times. Let's see. First thing we're going to do, we have two choices how to create a track. Track, new is one option, and that will bring up the dialog box. I'm going to go Shift Command N because I always do it that way. Shift Command N or Shift Control N on Windows. So I really like that shortcut. It's really useful. All right, next thing. All right, leave the first row in the new tracks dialog box configured for a single mono audio track. Cool, that's good. Press the tab key to get to the name field. Okay, so we're here. I'm going to hit tab. You can also just click and select it, and we're going to call it VO. And then we're going to click the plus sign. We're going to add another track. Now we want 2 stereo audio tracks for our next row. So create 2 stereo audio tracks. And then I'm going to hit tab again. We're going to call these music, which means when it makes 2, it'll call it music 1 and music 2. Click the plus sign again. And now, what is my next thing to do? I am going to make a stereo master fader. Stereo master fader, so that I can control the overall volume of my session. And then I'm going to click create. And there are all my tracks. Now, again, it's a little annoying to have them all selected like this because you can't select an individual just by clicking right now. Remember, Command will unselect one, and also Option would unselect them all. Option clicking any of those track nameplates. Okay, and it wants us now to rename some tracks. So double clicking on Music 1, a dialog box will open. And then I want to name it Drums. Cool. And then I'm going to click Next, or Command Arrow to the next one. And that one we're going to call Guitar. And then I'm going to hit Enter or click OK. So now I have VoiceOver, drums, guitar, and my master. All right, so now we're going to set a few of our display options. So first thing, we're going to set our main timescale to bars and beats, which it happened to already be. And then you may have your sub counter already showing, but I need to hit show sub counter in that main drop down. And then for that one, what are we picking? Show sub counter. And then it wants us to choose minutes and seconds. So I'm going to use that drop down now, minutes and seconds, and it happened to default to that in this case. Cool. So I've got bars and beats, minutes and seconds. What do we want for there? If needed, click the arrow icon at the very bottom, that tiny little guy there, to make sure that we are seeing the side columns. So we do have our clips, but if they're not showing, it's this tiny little thing at the bottom corner of each if they're not showing. So I want my clip list showing and my track list showing. We will be reusing this session in exercise 5. So make sure you keep this guy. We're going to do File, Save As, and then we're going to go rename the session, exercise 04- your initials. And then I'm going to hit Save. Then File, Close Session. Cool, and I'm back to my regular desktop. And then you have almost completed your exercise. You have one final step, and that is you need to find that folder that you created, which is probably called PT101-yourname-ex4, and you are going to right-click on it and then compress if you're on the Mac, and you need to find a way to zip it if you're on a Windows computer. So you want to make a zip folder of this. So I have to hit compress. It might say zip on a Windows file, and then you will get a folder, a file folder, that says the same name and zip, at least on this computer. And this file we are going to submit to an assignment, right? So your Pro Tools Exercise 4 assignment, you should attach this zip file to that assignment, and that should be the only kind of file that you can add is a .zip. And then I will be able to open that and have a look to make sure everything worked out just fine in your new session. Okay, that's it for that walkthrough. Hopefully the assignment went great and you already did it all and you didn't need this at all, but just in case, that's what it's for. So good luck, hope it went well, and we'll use that same folder, so don't delete it. We're going to use that same session to do exercise 5, the next one. Okay, until our next thing, see you soon. Catch you later.